What is your name?
Matthew Furgiuele.
And you're studying for?
The Diocese of Gaylord, doing canon law at Santa Croce.
And you're a deacon now?
Yes.
So you've already finished your priest studies, though?
Yes, I've done my theology, and now I'm doing a canon law license, and have another year and a half of that here in Rome. But this summer I should be ordained as a priest back in my diocese in northern Michigan.
And do you know much about our new Holy Father?
Well, it's a very historic moment on many levels. He is in fact a Jesuit, and so he's the first Jesuit pope in the history of the Church. He supposedly did very well in the 2005 conclave. All the stories were floating that he was the runner-up, as it were. Not that there are runners-up in papal elections. He's certainly very well respected, very well known. Obviously, being a Jesuit is in the scholarly line of our past couple of popes, so it seems clear that in the world that we're living in, it is very important to have a pontiff with a lot of intellectual skills. I must admit, when I first saw him, I kept thinking, he bears a striking resemblance to Pius XI. But it's...
Now, I remember talking to you some years ago. You had a conversation with the then Cardinal Ratzinger, right, in the Papal Gardens?
Yes, yeah, I was walking around and a little bit distracted by the beauty of the gardens, and I bumped into somebody, like physically bumped into him, and I looked up and realized, oh, this is Cardinal Ratzinger I just bumped into. So I just started speaking with him. I explained to him who I was and what I was doing in Rome, and he started asking me...
Let me ask you, what were you doing in Rome?
I was doing research and translation work at the Pontifical Academy for Life. And they didn't have anybody at the time that was a native English speaker, and so they needed somebody to do English language work for them. And so I began speaking with him about my experiences of having a brief time working for the Holy See. And it was a remarkable experience. We talked for almost an hour, and he gave me his full attention the whole time. And there was no sense of he was an important person that was in a hurry. It was really just like, for that time that I was with him, there was nobody else that mattered to him. So that's something that I've always treasured as an example of what a tremendously humble man he was and continues to be.
And you did most of the talking.
Yes, that was the other thing that was amazing. Yeah, other than him prodding me a bit with asking me questions to encourage me to keep speaking. But
so, do you speak Italian?
I do quite well. Yes.
What did from your recollection, what did our Holy Father say on the balcony tonight?
Well, the first thing he did was address himself to the people of Rome, that he's now their bishop. So he thanked them all for coming out in such force and assured them of his concern for them. And then he moved to not just being the Bishop of Rome, but also as Pope, sort of responsible for the entire world. And so he spoke about peace. And then the next thing he did, of course, was to say, well, right now it's very important. I would like us all to say some special prayers for our Pope Emeritus, Benedict. So that was when we had the Our Father and the Hail Mary for the Pope Emeritus. And then he said that before imparting his blessing to all of us, he wanted us to pause for a few moments in prayer for him as our new Holy Father. And then he gave us the blessing. And then there was a lot of cheering and things, and he sort of turned to the papal MC and whispered to him. And then he said a few more words. He basically, again, thanking everybody for coming out and saying that he'll see us all again very soon. And he indicated that tomorrow he wanted to go and spend time with Our Lady to thank her and to ask for her maternal intercession for himself and for the Church as well. And then he went back inside the balcony.
Did he give any more details about this devotion to Our Lady? Was it a particular chapel or...?
No, all he said was, tomorrow I want to go and spend time with Our Lady, but he didn't specify where he would be doing that. So I don't know if that'll just be maybe in front of the Pietà inside the the square, or I think it would be a bit early to assume that he would already try and go and visit St. Mary Major, for instance. Probably, but
when he came out on the balcony, I felt he came out and just stood there in silence for a little bit, and I kind of felt like I was with him. I kind of felt joined him. Did you feel that at all?
Absolutely. Yeah. It was really a very moving moment, and as you said exactly, we all kind of felt united with him, that even though there was a physical distance between us, it really kind of almost felt like, he was just there amongst us, and I agree, it was
I know, it almost like, too, he came out with some real gravitas, of the moment, and I couldn't help but feel that, as a church, we're in this moment for this new evangelization, all the different problems we face, but very much together, in this. That's what my takeaway from it was.
Absolutely, that was certainly the feeling that I had as well, and I think really even obviously the choice of Francis as his name being very significant, because of course it's a totally new name for a pope, and also whether it turns out to be Francis of Assisi or Francis Xavier or possibly even both. Certainly, in both cases, they really were tremendous figures of peace and unity, and evangelization. So I think definitely it bodes well, and certainly whichever Francis it turns out to be is a very appropriate patron to have for the Holy Father in the times that we're living in.
All right. Well, thanks so much for talking with us.
My pleasure.